Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear cadets of class 11, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all of you. How are you, cadets? I hope you all are fine at your respective homes. I welcome you all to my online class. First of all, I am Muhammad Bahaduddin Khan, Assistant Professor of Botany, Department of Biology, your teacher. My dear cadets, do you know what is the symptom of corona disease? Yes, my dear, look at this figure. The symptoms of corona disease are fever, chest pain, chills, rapid heartbeat, breathing difficulties, pneumonia, kidney failure, headache, sore throat, fog, shortness of breath, and how it spread via coughing and sneezing. Now, protect yourself from corona. Protect yourself and others from getting sick. Wash your hands after coughing or sneezing. When caring for the sick, before, during, and after you prepare food. Before eating, you must wash your hands. After toilet, you must wash your hands. When hands are visibly dirty, you have to wash your hands. After handling animals or animal wastes, you have to wash your hands frequently. Now, my dear cadets, today's topic. Our today's topic is cell and its structure. Lesson 2. Subtopics: cell, different organelle and their functions like plastid, nucleus, mitochondria, etc. Look at this, my dear cadets. Today's topics main figure. One is animal cell and another is plant cell. Now, our learning outcome. At the end of this class, you should have to learn why chloroplast is called kitchen house of cell, why mitochondria is called powerhouse of cell, describe the structure of plastid, mitochondria, nucleus, and Golgi body, describe the functions of plastid, mitochondria, nucleus, and Golgi body, explain the role of chloroplast and mitochondria in living cell. Now, some important keywords: cell, plastid, chloroplast, chromoplast, mitochondria, nucleus, autophagy, autolysis, suicidal bag, SER, it means smooth endoplasmic reticulum, RER, rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, etc. Now, every living body is composed of cells. Some of the living beings are consist of a single cell body. These are called unicellular organisms, like bacteria, some algae, and fungi. Some other living beings are composed of more than one cell. These are called multicellular organisms. Many multicellular organisms are composed of millions of cells. Now look at this. What is cell? Do you know, my dear cadets, what is cell? Yes, the structural and functional unit of life is called cell. On the other hand, the structural and functional unit of living organism consisting of protoplasm surrounded by a semi-permeable living membrane capable of self-reproduction is called cell. All cells are not similar as there are structural difference. There are difference in shape, size, and functions. Now, different parts of a cell. Cell is mainly divided into three parts. One is cell wall, then plasma lemma, and lastly protoplasm. Cell wall only present in plant cell, absent in animal cell. Plasma lemma, which is called cell membrane or biomembrane, and protoplasm. Protoplasm is divided into two parts. One is cytoplasm and another is nucleus. Cytoplasm are three parts. One is cytoplasmic organelles, non-living materials, and cytomatrix. Cytoplasmic organelles like plastid, mitochondria, endoplazmic reticulum, Golgi complex, ribosome, lysosome, centrosome, cell vacuole, and so many more. Non-living materials are carbohydrates, protein, lipid, enzyme, pigments, organic acid, and cytomatics is which is called the liquid substance of inside the protoplasm. And nucleus are four parts: one is nuclear membrane, nucleoplasm, nucleus, and nuclear reticulum or chromosome. Now, plastid. At first, the living organelle distributed in the cytoplasm may be pigmented or non-pigmented, which can only be found in plant cell is called plastid. On the other hand, the biggest cell organelle made of lipoprotein membrane contains stroma and grana scattered in the cytoplasm is known as plastid. In 1885, Schumann discovered and named it is plastid. Types of plastid. Plastid are two types. One is leucoplast and another is chromatoplast. Leucoplasts are of three types: yelloplast, amyloplast, and eleuroplast. Chromatoplast are of two types. One is chromoplast and another is chloroplast. Now, leucoplast. These are colorless because there are no color pigment in them. In presence of sunlight, the leucoplast may change into chromoplast, especially to chloroplast. In the absence of light, chloroplast may change into leucoplast. Function. It can store different types of food like carbohydrate, lipid, and protein. Now, chromatoplast of plastid. Chromatoplast is green or of other colors. When it is green, it is called chloroplast, and when it is different color, it is called chromoplast. Function. Chloroplast can produce carbohydrate food materials by photosynthesis, and in presence of chromoplast, the flowers appear colorful and beautiful, so worms and insects are attracted and help in pollination. Now, my dear cadets, chloroplast. Chloroplast, the plastid which is responsible for green color in plant parts such as green leaves, tender stem, green fruits, and green branches, is known as chloroplast. In each cell, the number of chloroplasts may be one or more than one. Generally, 10 to 40 chloroplasts present in higher plants. The shape of chloroplast varies from species to species, like cup, star, ring, spiral shape. Now, structure of chloroplast. Chloroplast consists of the main parts, membrane. Each chloroplast is covered by two-layered semi-permeable membrane. It consists of lipid and protein. Structurally, it is similar to plasma membrane. It protects the inner substance. Number two, stroma. Granular water-absorbing matrix known as stroma are present. They are full of colloidal substance. That reaction of photosynthesis occurred in stroma. In stroma, there are 70 S ribosome, osmophilic granules, and enzyme for glucose production. Number three, thylakoid and grana. In the stroma, about 40 to 60 well-arranged drum-shaped grana are present. Each granum has 5 to 25 granum discs or thylakoid. Some thylakoids from stack piling upon one another. Now, stroma lamellae. Some thylakoids of the two adjacent grana remain connected by fine canals known as stroma lamellae. Photosynthetic unit and ATP synthesis. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, keratin, xanthophyll, lipid, and different types of enzymes are present in the membrane. They form a crystalline body which is known as quantosome. Quantosome contains 300 to 400 chlorophyll molecules. During the light reaction of photosynthesis, the fixation of photon of light mainly occurred in quantosome. My dear cadets, nowadays it is known as photosynthetic unit. In it, there are enzymes for production of ATP. In chloroplast, there is its own DNA and ribosome by which it can reproduces its own replica. Look at this, the structure of chloroplast. These are the stromal lamellae, thylakoid, and the bundle of granum, and in plural form grana. Structure of chloroplast. Now, function of chloroplast. My dear cadets, to prepare carbohydrate food through photosynthesis, number 2, solar energy converted into chemical energy. Number 3, to produce protein and fats with the help of enzymes. Number 4, photorespiration occurs here. And number 5, it helps cytoplasmic inheritance. Now, my dear cadets, mitochondria. Mitochondria is called the powerhouse of cell because inside the mitochondria, energy is produced. The cytoplasmic organelle covered by two-layered membrane related with the production of energy of a cell is known as mitochondria. The energy is produced in the cell through mitochondria. For this reason, mitochondria is known as powerhouse of the cell. Krebs cycle, that is a cycle electron transfer process, takes place in mitochondria. In 1874, Altman discovered it, and scientist Carl Bender in 1898 called this organelle as mitochondria. In average, every cell contains 300 to 400 mitochondria present. Look at this figure. This is the 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional figure of mitochondria and the structure of mitochondria. My dear cadets, structure of mitochondria. At first, membrane. Each mitochondria remains surrounded by two separate membranes of 50 to 70 angstrom thickness. Each membrane is made up of lipid and proteins. The two membranes remain separated by a space of 6 to 8 nanometers. The outer membrane is smooth and basically protective in function for the inner parts. Number 2, twisting. The inner membrane is folded irregularly toward the center like figure-like projection. These structures are known as the twisting. The twisting remain arranged transversely and partition the cavity of the mitochondria into several incomplete compartments. The space between the twisting is known as intercrystal space, which remain connected with the outer chamber. Now, my dear chamber. The two membranes divided the lumen of the mitochondrion into two chambers. The space between the two chambers is called the outer chamber. It remains filled up with a solution enriched in coenzymes. The central chamber covered by the inner chamber is known as inner chamber. The inner chamber remains divided into some incomplete chamber by the twisting. This chamber remains filled with a jelly-like homogeneous liquid known as matrix. Now, my dear cadets, ATP synthesis and EPS. The inner surface of the twisty remains ornamented with some round stalk sac-like bodies known as ATP synthesis. ATP synthesis takes place in this organ. Besides that, numerous electron transport system ETS remain scattered on the surface of Christie. Previously, these two were combinedly known as oxysome, DNA, and ribosome. Mitochondrial matrix contains its own DNA. The mitochondrial DNA is small, double-stranded, and circular. In addition to DNA matrix, contains 70 S ribosomes, which look like the DNA and ribosomes of bacteria. Now I take its chemical components. In mitochondrial membrane consists of lipoprotein, which contains 60 to 65% protein, 25 to 30% lipid, and 0.5% RNA, and a small amount of DNA. Of the lipid contains 90% of phospholipid and 5% cholesterol. Mitochondria contains small amount of mineral ions like calcium, magnesium, manganese, and vitamin B6, B12, vitamin K, vitamin E. About 100 types of enzymes and coenzymes are known to be present in mitochondria. These enzymes are found to be present in outer membrane, outer chamber, and inner chamber. The matrix contains different types of enzyme, coenzymes, and different nucleotides. My dear cadets, now function of mitochondria. The main function of mitochondria is energy production. They contain enzyme and coenzyme for the synthesis of necessary proteins. For the generation of energy, like Krebs cycle, electron transport system, oxidative photophosphorylation are carried out in mitochondria. Number 4, take part in fat metabolism, synthesis of RNA and DNA. Now, my dear cadets, nucleus. Nucleus, do you know what is the nickname of nucleus? Yes, my dear. Nucleus is called the brain of the cell because it regulates all the activities of the cell. The most conspicuous organelle in living cell is usually round, surrounded by lipoprotein membrane, which contains chromosomes and regulates all the activities of a cell, is called nucleus. In 1831, Robert Brown discovered nucleus in the leaf of orchid. Each cell generally contains only one nucleus. In prokaryotic cell, there is no true nucleus. In some true nucleus, like sieve cells of phloem tissue and mature blood corpuscles, there is no nucleus, although they are living. In some plants, like Vaucheria algae, contains many nucleus in cell. Look at this, the different parts of a nucleus. Physical structure of nucleus. Physical structure is nucleus at interface stage contains 4 major parts: nuclear membrane, nucleoplasm, nucleolus, and nuclear reticulum. Firstly, nuclear membrane. The double-layered membrane which separates the nucleus from cytoplasm is called nuclear membrane. This layer of this membrane consists of phospholipid bilayers like the cell membrane. The 2 layers of nuclear membrane remain separated by a space of 10 to 15 nanometer, which is known as perinuclear space. It remains filled up with a liquid substance. At regular interface in this membrane, there are some hexagonal minute pores called nuclear pore. This nuclear pore has a diameter of 9 nanometer, which can be considered and expanded. There are 8 protein particles within the pore which regulate the diameter of nuclear pores. The nuclear membrane is connected with the uh, endoplasmic reticulum. Numerous ribosomes remain in the external surface of the nuclear membrane. Now, my dear colleagues, nucleoplasm, the semi-liquid jelly-like substance present within the nucleus covered by the nuclear membrane is called nucleoplasm. It is comparably denser than the cytoplasm. Through the main component of nucleoplasm is protein. It also contains large amount of DNA and RNA. In addition, it contains different enzymes and mineral salts. It does not contain any pigment. Now I take as nucleolus. Within the nucleus, there may be present generally one, sometimes more than one. Comparably bright, clear sprinkle organelle known as nucleolus. Fontana in 1781 first observed it and Baumit named the organelle as a nucleolus in 1840. Now, my dear cadets, nuclear reticulum. The reticulate or branched fiber-like bodies present within the nucleoplasm during interphase stage are known as nuclear reticulum. When colored with fluorescent dye, the nuclear reticulum becomes colored by absorbing the colors. For this reason, they are also called chromatin fiber. The chromatin fiber is composed of DNA and histone proteins. During cell division, the nuclear reticulum breaks into small thread-like bodies. Such a thread-like body is known as chromosome. The number of chromosomes in each species is specific. Each chromosome consists of centromere, chromonema, and sometimes satellite may be present. Several genes may be linearly arranged on the chromosome, which is responsible for the genetic characteristic. Chemically, each chromosome is nucleoprotein. It contains large amount of DNA and a small amount of RNA, histone and non-histone proteins, lipid, enzyme, and calcium, magnesium, and other metallic ions. My dear cadets, this is the structure of chromosome. This is the chromosome. Now, function of nucleus. The nucleus regulates all types of activities of the cell. It regulates healing, growth, and division of the cell. It gives signals. It gives signals for the synthesis of all essential protein, amino acid, enzymes, hormone of the cell. It signals for the synthesis of different types of RNA necessary for the cell and also regulates their synthesis. It gives the signal for DNA replication and control the process. It plays important roles in cell division and fertilization. Lastly, nucleus, especially chromosome, are the holder and bears the hereditary characters from generation to generation. Now, my dear cadets, Golgi body. The organelle, which have flat, long tube-like structure, remain united together near the nucleus is known as Golgi body. In 1898, Camillo Golgi discovered it from the nerve cell of owl and cat. Now, function of Golgi body. They produce lysosome and secrete some enzymes. Number two, synthesize non-proteinous substance and microfibril. Number three, take part to form cell plate and plasma membrane during the cell division. Look at this, the figure of Golgi body. And the figure of Golgi body, my dear cadets. Now, the vital another organelle like lysosome. What is lysosome and what is autophagy? Several hydrolytic enzymes surrounded by the unit membrane from a small sac-like organelle is known as lysosome. I repeat, several hydrolytic enzymes surrounded by the unit membrane form a small sac-like organelle known as lysosome. In 1955, scientists de Dove discovered the lysosome. Now, function of lysosome. Destruction of germs by the process of phagocytosis. Lysosome helps in digestion. Number three, they protect the organelles of the cell by covering the lytic agent. Number four, they synthesize carotene pigment in the cell. My dear cadets, absence of enough food in the cell, the enclosed enzyme come out, rupturing other cell wall and destroy all the other organelles of the cell. This is known as autophagy. In this way, the whole cell may be digested. This is known as autolysis of cell. And that's why the lysosome is called suicidal bag or suicidal spot of the cell. Let's enjoy video of cell structure.
Cells are the smallest living units of an organism. All cells have three things in common, no matter what type of cell they are. All cells have a cell membrane, which separates the inside of the cell from its environment. Cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like fluid, and DNA, which is the cell's genetic material. There are two broad categories of cells. The first category is eukaryotic cells. They have organelles, which include the nucleus and other special parts. Eukaryotic cells are more advanced complex cells, such as those found in plants and animals. The second category is prokaryotic cells. They don't have a nucleus or membrane-enclosed organelles. They do have genetic material, but it's not contained within a nucleus. Prokaryotic cells are always one-celled or unicellular organisms, such as bacteria. So, what are organelles? Organelle means little organ. Organelles are the specialized parts of a cell that have unique jobs to perform. Let's start with the nucleus, the control center of the cell. The nucleus contains DNA, or genetic material. DNA dictates what the cell is going to do and how it's going to do it. Chromatin is the tangled, spread-out form of DNA found inside the nuclear membrane. When a cell is ready to divide, DNA condenses into structures known as chromosomes. The nucleus also contains a nucleolus, which is a structure where ribosomes are made. After ribosomes leave the nucleus, they will have the important job of synthesizing or making proteins. Outside the nucleus, the ribosomes and the rest of the organelles float around in cytoplasm, which is the jelly-like substance. Ribosomes may wander freely within the cytoplasm or attach to the endoplasmic reticulum, sometimes abbreviated as ER. There are two types of ER. Rough ER has ribosomes attached to it, and smooth ER doesn't have ribosomes attached to it. The endoplasmic reticulum is a membrane-enclosed passageway for transporting materials, such as proteins synthesized by ribosomes. Proteins and other materials emerge from the endoplasmic reticulum in small vesicles. Golgi apparatus, sometimes called the Golgi body, receives them. As proteins move through the Golgi body, they're customized into forms that the cell can use. The Golgi body does this by folding the proteins into usable shapes, or adding other materials onto them, such as lipids or carbohydrates. Vacuoles are sac-like structures that store different materials. Here, in this plant cell, the central vacuole stores water. Going back to the animal cell, you will see an organelle called a lysosome. Lysosomes are the garbage collectors that take in damaged or worn-out cell parts. They are filled with enzymes that break down this cellular debris. The mitochondria is an organelle that is the powerhouse for both animal and plant cells. During a process called cellular respiration, the mitochondria make ATP molecules that provide the energy for all of the cell's activities. Cells that need more energy have more mitochondria. Meanwhile, the cell maintains its shape through a cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton includes the thread-like microfilaments, which are made of protein, and microtubules, which are thin, hollow tubes. Some organisms, such as plants that are photoautotrophic, meaning they capture sunlight for energy, have cells with an organelle called a chloroplast. The chloroplast is where photosynthesis happens. It's green because it has a green pigment called chlorophyll. Plant cells also have a cell wall outside of their cell membranes that shape, support, and protect the plant cell. Animal cells never have a cell wall. There are many other unique structures that only some cells have. Here are just a few. In humans, for example, the respiratory tract is lined with cells that have cilia. These are microscopic hair-like projections that can move in waves. This feature helps trap inhaled particles in the air and expels them when you cough. Another unique feature in some cells is flagella. Some bacteria have flagella. A flagellum is like a little tail that can help a cell move or propel itself. The only human cell that has a flagellum is a sperm cell. In summary, remember, eukaryotic cells are plant and animal cells with a nucleus and membrane-enclosed organelles, while prokaryotic cells are unicellular organisms without these things. All cells have a cell membrane, cytoplasm, and genetic material. And even though only plant cells have chloroplast, both plant and animal cells have mitochondria.
Dear cadets, it's time for homework. Look at this single CQ. The organelles which are present in the cytoplasm and produce energy for living cells. These organelles are called powerhouse of the cell. Now, my dear cadets, first question is, what is cell? Second question, why chloroplast is called kitchen house of cell? Applicable question, draw the level diagram of organelles which mentioned above the stem. And higher order question, without the above organelles, living organism cannot get energy. Analyze it. My dear cadets, thank you for attending my online class. If you have any question and query of my class, you can clarify it having an online session with me at the period of your scheduled class. Thank you for patient hearing and viewing. At last, stay on home because we are passing critical and crucial moment. Take healthy food, take necessary rest, take fresh drinking water. Don't go outside here and there. Take care of your parents. pray to Almighty Allah 5 times so that we all are overcome this crucial situation. May Almighty Allah bless us all. Thank you once again. Your next class is cell division. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.